We're going to construct a simple bearing-free pulley. It's just going to use or rely on the relatively low friction of 3D printed parts, plus a couple of screws in order to give it the strength it needs to be able to hold up some cord. The cord is going to be 2mm blind cord, and as a result, we'll have certain measurements going there. We're going to start straight away with a sketch, and we're going to start with our pivot point. We're going to put it on this plane here, so the sideways plane, for want of a better word. I'm going to start off with a circle, and it's going to be a 3mm circle. The 3mm circle is to do with the fact that our pulley is going to be held together with 3 M3mm screws. So I'm now going to draw another circle here, and out we come. I'll probably take it out to, because we've got 3, maybe 5.5mm. It doesn't really need to be totally accurate, but 5.5 makes it a reasonably strong join. 2mm on top of the 3mm, which would be 5, is not going to be quite as strong as I want, so 5.5 will be good. And I'm going to finish that sketch. I'm going to bring it out. So I'm going to modify the sketch or extrude it out 4mm. Sorry, we'll make it 3mm, which will give me 6mm to play with either side. Let's just make it 4 to be sure, and go OK. So it's now a 4mm little cylinder there. That won't take very long to print if I was to print it, but we need a bit more on this. I'm going to create a new sketch now, and this is going to be the cross section of the outer side of the pulley, the bit that the string or blind cord will work around. And I'm going to click on this one here to draw this. It's going to need a circle in which to run, and I'm going to make the circle to be 2mm, which is the size of my blind cord. I'm now going to draw a line tool, and I'm going to line up from here to here, try and keep that sort of horizontal. I'm going to go up here a bit, I'm going to come down into the circle and finish that off. And I'm going to start from this point down here and come into the circle as well and finish that off. And it should close off nicely. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the project tool, which is down here. My shortcut key is P. And I'm going to project this line and this line. So I've got my reference points and press OK. So I'm going to use the horizontal vertical constraint tool to constrain these two lines here, these 2 points here, and that point and the circle. So that's all constrained there nicely. I'm going to set this dimension from this point here to this little point in here to be 0.4mm, which happens to be the width of my nozzle on my printer. So that's how wide the string is going to be when it draws it out on the 3D printer. I'm going to set this height here. Let's just set it to be 6mm, and let's set this distance here from here to here. Let's just make that 3.5mm, and I'm fairly happy with that. I should probably also line up this point here with this point here, and now I've got a fully constrained sketch. If I really wanted to, I can press the T tool to trim and get rid of the outside of this, and I'm going to finish the sketch. If I bring it back around into this mode now, I should be able to use the revolve tool. Click on that section, select my axis, which is going to be, it's pretty tricky to get, that red line there, and it should revolve around there like so. If I spin that round, you'll see what I'm heading for. I'm now going to press on OK, and I'm going to use the mirror tool to get that doubled over. So create, mirror, and on this one, and the mirror plane is just going to be this surface here, and I'm going to press OK. You can now see that I've got the outside of my pulley. It's like a cotton reel, and that gradient there just helps to keep the rope nicely in place. I'm now going to modify this and combine this one and this one with a join, keep those two unchecked and go OK. So now I have the inside of my pulley. I'm going to create a new sketch now on this little surface here, and I'm going to press P to project on there, and I'm going to press OK. finishing that sketch, that little sketch there that I'm created, I'm going to pull that out or extrude that out 0.5 millimeters. So now the length of this is going to be 4.5 millimeters out. I'm now going to use that surface there to create a new sketch. The new sketch will be a circle up here, which is going to be 3 millimeters, which is going to be my second screw. So type in 3. I'm going to draw a circle down here, and I'm just going to make it the size that makes it look okay. Let's just go with 14 millimeters. And I'm going to draw a circle around this point here again, which I'm going to make, let's just go 8 millimeters. That'll make it nice and strong. I'm going to then go with a dimension tool and make this line, this point here, in the middle of this point of the circle here, to be a nice even number. Let's go 18 millimeters. That'll keep it nice and clear of the rope. That means I can tie another rope around up here if I have to. And I'm now going to draw some lines. If I click and hold, they'll stay as tangents, which is useful. And I want them to be tangents on that line there, to that line there. You see that they've got the tangent constraint now. And down here, tangent constraint. And just to make this nice and neat, I'm going to line up these two with the horizontal vertical tool. Let's get rid of some excess lines. I don't really want that line there. I don't really want that one there. And I think I'm going to need a 3 mil hole here to match that. So I just need to project that hole there and go OK and finish the sketch. Now I should be able to modify this. Finish the sketch. Thank you. Now I should be able to modify this and that bit there. I didn't need to project that extra bit there. And I'm going to create a 3 mil extrusion, quite thick. I could probably actually go 2 mils at this point because it's going to be print sideways, so it'll be strong enough. And I'm missing a little bit in there so that that's nice and joined. That's bad by me. So basically I've got that part there. And if I go OK, if I turn off my second body, you'll see that I've got this part here. I need to bring out another one equal to that on this side. So I'm going to draw a circle from the midpoint here. Let's just go with 5 millimeters. It doesn't need to be too strong up the top. It's not bearing a lot of weight. And I'm going to finish that sketch. I'm going to press the modify tool and bring it out. Instead of a distance, I'm going to bring it out to object. And I'm going to use this face as the object. So it's going to match that length out, which just happens to be 4.5 millimeters. And I'm going to press OK. Turning my body back on. I'm now going to use the create, and I'm going to use the mirror tool, and I'm going to mirror this body around this plane, and I'm going to press on OK. And I now have a simple pulley that can hold a 2 millimeter blind cord. That will be quite strong, primarily because it has steel pins going through it in the form of M3 screws, which should fit through there nicely. Some different modifications you could do to this pulley. For example, if you want to be able to bring another rope up or a third rope up and tie it through this point here, so the rope will go from a bottom pulley up around there, around the bottom pulley again, and then back through this rope here to give you extra mechanical advantage, you can basically have that modification on there. The other one is you could do a double one, and the simple thing about this double one, if you look at the parts, turn off all the other parts that we don't need to be able to see to do this, that's the extra part that you need, plus you need to print these extra parts. What you're going to need to do now, apart from obviously saving this, is export one part here and this part here as two parts and print two outsides and one middle coil or what do you call that, a reel, and then we can basically have that assembled with two M3 screws.